know that, and we have repeatedly said this, the President and I, whenever we have had time to talk to you in other fora, that we are incomplete without this side of the bar. We are incomplete without the advocates. We thank you. We will get opportunity to do that in the main judgment, in the reasoned judgment. But we really appreciate your industry. We were impressed by the submissions you took. And we were impressed, and we said this the last 3 days, I'll tell you something about that in a minute, by how deeply you believed in your clients' cases. That we think is a mark of an extremely grown legal profession, and we ask that you do not bring the bar down. You keep taking it up. In any contest of whatever nature, and even if we say there are no winners and losers, and even if we say that the winners are the Constitution and the people of Kenya, the truth is that some 6 million Kenyans will not be happy today. But that's the nature of the work we do. What we hope, and we hope you can advise your clients and our brothers and sisters that are the Kenyan people, that is what was expected. One side had to win. One side had to be in total or a great extent of compliance with the Constitution and electoral law than the other side. That's how we saw it. We thank you very much. We, the 7 of us, have not slept since we parted company on Friday. I think it is showing on our faces. And we thank you that you appreciate that we work under difficult circumstances, especially because of time. As ground rules, we agreed when we left you here on Friday that we would not pick any of your calls. A lot of you called us, but we just couldn't pick your calls. And I hope you understand that we couldn't. We saw that you were trying to call us, but we just could not pick the calls. I hope you understand. And now if you allow us, again, on behalf of these 7 men and women, thank you very much for appreciating what we have to do. Thank you for giving us the honor to serve this country in these capacities. And let's hope that we can continue to grow our democracy this way. And thank you very much for everything you also do for the country. And now you allow us to go home and sleep.
Thank you. The court is adjourned.
Very well, there you have it. William Samoei Arap Ruto is officially Kenya's 5th president after that win. His win was affirmed by the apex court there. They say once you've cleared the bush, you cannot hide it in it anymore. Well, the apex court judges have cleared the 9 bushes that were standing between William Ruto and his win, and given the clean bill of health to the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. While there are some issues here and there at the IEBC, yes, but that did not warrant the annulment, and they have affirmed that democracy and Kenyans are the winners. All the 7 judges, it was a unanimous decision, all the 7 judges have upheld that win. Ray? Ray?
Indeed, yes. I was just thinking about those 9 bushes. There was one of the issues that rather came out, and this one we actually saw.
Yeah, indeed, William Ruto is the president-elect, and as soon as he is sworn in next week on Monday, then he officially gets into the Kenyan history books as Kenya's 5th president. That is after all the 7 judges say yes, indeed. And talking about Bush's or the petition, the final orders being the presidential petition has been dismissed. The election was valid and carried out in a manner that was free, fair, and very verifiable. And as you can see from the pictures on your screen live from Uasin Gishu, Yosonyeri, and Milimani, and let me correct myself there, the swearing in will be next week on Tuesday. As you can see, Jubilation in Nyeri, the yellow colors, the people there, the UDA colors, the UDA logo there, people celebrating the win. It's not anything different from the picture above that is in Uasin Gishu. As you can see there, people had to brave the heavy rain, the heavy downpour in Uasin Gishu to ensure that they listen keenly to one of their own, William Ruto, hailing from that county. And as I had alluded to earlier, is that all the 9 issues have been dispensed with. And talking about the technology failing and integrity verifiability, that has also been dismissed. Actually, one of the key issues that all Kenyans we were looking at is the 50+1, and from what the judges have talked about there, giving us calculated and verified reports say that yes, indeed, William Ruto did hit the 50%+1 as required by the law. And also, did the irregularities affect the final outcome? Yes, indeed, there were here and there, but that did not warrant any. The irregularities did not warrant the annulment of that presidential election. Was there interference, transmission of Form 34A, uploading of Form 34A? No evidence presented, according to the 7 judges, to show interference on the form before or during the uploading. That has also been dispensed. And also, they're talking about the postponement of the election in 8 electoral units. That has also been acted upon, and said it was a genuine mistake, and IEBC should have examined the template, but it was not a calculated move to suppress voters in the 8 electoral units. Another issue that has been dispensed with is whether the IEBC tallied verified results as required in Article 138.3 and 138.10 of the Constitution. Yes, indeed, they did that. Right?
Now, some of the issues there, and I'd want us to zero in on that one of the 5th, actually the number 5 of the issues, whether there were unexplainable discrepancies between the votes cast for the presidential candidates and other elective positions. This is an issue that has perennially been questioned whenever we've had presidential petitions. We saw this happen in 2013, we saw this happen in 2017, and also now in 2022. But now, issue number 6 on the conduct, and this heavily lied on the conduct of the IEBC as the agent that was in charge, or in as far as oversight is concerned, whether IEBC carried out the verification, tallying and declaration of results in accordance with Article 138.3C and 138.10 of the Constitution. Here we had the 7 judge bench actually go further to even issue a recommendation, and I'd want to paraphrase there with the CJ, their Chief Justice Martha Koome, saying that there are far-reaching reforms required of the IEBC, and thus pointing at serious grievances in as far as governance of the IEBC is concerned. However, no information shows that the election was compromised, and also questioned the participation of the dissenting 4 commissioners there, questioning why they participated up until the last minute. And very curiously there, she further pointed out and said that it was a last minute, an 11th hour boardroom rapture. I'd want to bring in the views of our lawyer here, Gibson Gisore, in regard to that particular issue, the verification, tallying and declaration of results and the implications it has therein into the conduct of the IEBC and also the conduct of the chair. These have been adversely mentioned by the petitioners and now the judges while actually doing the pronouncement of the verdict therein. So what is your take in regard to that, Gisore?
Regina, I think first, before I go into into answering your question, let me congratulate William Ruto the fifth, because that is now a momentous occasion for the country, because there has been an issue. We have been through this electioneering period for the longest, now that we have a president-elect, substantive.
Now, talking about a president-elect, our viewers, what you're seeing on your screens, these are live pictures from the current residence there. We are also having live pictures from the, that is Nyeri Jubilation, as you can see, Kenyans celebrating now the Supreme Court there, unanimously upholding the election of William Ruto as the fifth president. He's currently William Ruto president-elect. We expect that the swearing-in is going to take place within 7 days after this particular judgment has been made. That makes it effectively September 13th. That is Tuesday. On your split screen there, you're having different views there. We have Nyeri there in celebration. We are having sights and scenes also from current residents. And we are also having pictures from Uasin Gishu County, County 2, 027 there, and in Eldoret. Seemingly a calm crowd there celebrating that particular decision by the IEBC, by the Supreme Court there, upholding the election of William Ruto as president-elect. His swearing-in ceremony will be on the 13th of September, 7 days after the pronouncement there by the 7-judge bench there, led by none other than Chief Justice Martha Koome. 9 issues were brought forth, and they failed the test of time, so to speak, to have a nullification of his election there. Now, Gisore, you were giving your opinion in regard to the impact.
Yes. As I was saying, I want to congratulate William the fifth.
Now, sorry, let me interject there. Let's have a listen in to lead counsel, senior counsel, and governor-elect Siaya James Orengo there in Mani.
Are we all right? First and foremost, I want to thank our team of lawyers. As we know, we are a team of nearly 50 lawyers, and we have been working very hard for the last 14 days, this being the final day. Secondly, we want to thank our clients, the petitioner number 1, Raila Amolo Odinga, petitioner number 2, Martha Karua, and other eminent persons in this team, including senior counsel Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, for having their trust and confidence in this team of lawyers to prosecute their case in petition number 5, which has been consolidated with other petitions, and put their case before the Supreme Court. I want to say without a fear of contradiction that we do not agree with the decision of the Supreme Court. Like Al Gore, I will say we accept the decision, but we do not agree with it. And I'm saying this as a seasoned practitioner that courts sometimes make mistakes which have to be corrected over time. Courts make political decisions. As you know, in the United States of America, there has been a long-standing case that has been held as universal truth of jurisprudence involving women's rights, Roe versus Wade. It took them 50 years to overturn that case because of a Republican Congress and a Republican president and a Supreme Court that was basically appointed by Republicans. And therefore, I want to say, yes, in accordance with the law, we got to accept this decision as the law of the land. But I think it is a very ideological decision. I think there are a lot of what was said in the judgment, and we'll have time when that judgment comes out to put out a critique. But all it means is that in our jurisprudence, the petitioners will always have a big burden to carry when you have an electoral commission which is not open and transparent. The best way for this court to have made a decision was with the servers to be fully opened and all the election materials be placed before the court, as would happen in a case where justice has to be rendered. As you know, and I am saying this again without fear of contradiction, we wanted a comprehensive audit of not only the technology that was applied by the Electoral Commission, but we wanted a proper audit. Although time was of the essence, but I think we had sufficient time to carry out a proper audit, including looking at the issue of the foreign intruders, the Venezuelans, which you'd notice the court avoided in making any comment about those intrusions and invasions of the system, the technology, the IT structure. That again, the court did not refer to, but probably in the judgment, the recent judgment that is coming on the 21st, they will say something about it. And therefore, I want to end by saying the rule of law should prevail. The court normally has the last word in making a statement as to what is the law of the land. But as citizens who are sovereign, we're entitled to disagree, and disagree very vehemently. I think the court, in conducting the proceedings during the hearing, I think they were patient. They listened to us. It is only the outcome that we do not agree with. Finally, I think our clients, the two petitioners, Raila Amolo Odinga and Martha Karua, may be addressing another press conference, but we are happy to talk to you on this issue.
And have a watertight case, but we saw them talking about forgeries and wild goose chase. Did that surprise you?
No, I mean forgeries. When the DCI, the Director of Criminal Investigations, what do we put before the court? A lot of it was from an agency of government. I didn't see them talking about similar incidents in matters concerning the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. That's why I was saying it was a little ideological. They were looking for things on which to destroy our case, but similarly not taking sufficient time to look at what happened on the other side. And that will be another story for another day.
Would you admit you might not have been well prepared for this case?
We were very well prepared. I think compared to 2017, we were a lot more well prepared.
What would be the 2 or 3 points of mistake that you say the court might have made mistake on that? Fundamental.
In 50% plus 1, I think they were ideological. We are using the baseline of total registered voters in the land as against those who turned out to vote. If you read any legal material on what should be a turnout, including the Black's Law Dictionary, turnout is normally based on the registered members in a country as against those who turn out to vote. So there are so many other examples we can take up.
Are you still confident you lost on all grounds?
Yeah?
On all the key 8 issues you lost?
The issues that the court formulated, but we're quite happy to live with it. and talk about it another time. Philip, you want to say something?
Just on the idea that we lost on all 8-9 points, we find it incredible that that could be the holding of the court. In more than several of those cases, we had overwhelming evidence. As my senior counsel, Mr. Orengo, says, the servers were not opened. The involvement of the Venezuelans for a full month before, half a month before the elections and up to the 16th of August was not explained. No, it wasn't even offered. We perhaps are a little distressed on the over-reliance of a registrar's report that has no input from us. That report was completely silent on the failure to open the servers. The servers, repeat, the servers have all the answers. The exact role, we provided evidence that the Venezuelans were downloading documents, creating documents, and generating documents. None of that was touched. But as my colleague says, we hope they'll address all this in the final judgment. As somebody has said, it's incredible that we could lose on all points and they could win on all points. But as Senior has explained, it's probably the ideological aspect of this judgment.
Are you still confident on the 21st it will be a different one?
No. They have tied their hands. They can't get out of it. They have given their final decision. It's now a question of them finding the reasons for those findings and justifying them. It's not always easy, but I think they have some time to do it.
The other thing that I found a little bit disturbing is the presentation of the Form 34A by somebody I really respect as an advocate, Julie Soweto. It was described as hot air, but you could see when that evidence was being adduced before the court, how engaged even the justices were. So I found it rather odd for them to describe it as hot air. I think that's why I'm saying this is ideological, because they would have said on the evidence presented, we find there was more weight as to the evidence which was adduced by the other side. But to say that it was hot air and it was a document coming from the Electoral Commission, I found it very, very disturbing.
If I may explain a little further on that point made by Julie Soweto in the petition, that gentleman, Camargo's name was not supposed to be on Form 34A. If at all he was involved in this election, he was involved on the technology side. So to find it anywhere near a Form 34A raised more questions than answers. There was silence. And of course, on the issue of the famous 34A that Julie was describing, it was found to have been signed by the agents of UDA and UDM on the 7th, which is before the elections. No mention was made of that. So many things, many questions, perhaps more questions than answers, but it is the decision of the court. They have to live with it just as we have. Is that all? Thank you.
Professor Agenda may want to say something. Okay. Sawa.
Well, that is the first press conference held by the petitioner's lawyer, Raila Odinga's lawyers. They are led by Senior Counsel James Orengo and Philip Murgor. And as I said, is that they are opposed to that judgment. Let's hear what the Nyeri governor has to say in regards to the same, but we will be crossing over there to know exactly their sentiments or sampling some of the sentiments of leaders. As you have seen, Uasin Gishu is packed, as you can see on your screen. There are also, as you can see, in Nyeri as well. Earlier on, we had a live feed from the president-elect residents in Karen, but the live picture that you can see on your screen is live from Uasin Gishu, where it is the home of the president-elect William Ruto. And indeed, as you can see, they have braved the rain to just listen up to the whole judgment by the 7 judges, and they are elated. As you can see, earlier on they were dancing to that. But as the lawyers representing the petitioner have talked about, is that despite the overwhelming evidence, they say that without any fear of contradiction, they do not agree with the decision and say that mistakes are to be corrected over time, challenged availing of election materials for comprehensive audit. But they say that they will look at the judgment keenly after the 21 days that the judges have talked about, so that they may give a more detailed report on the same. They say they were more prepared than the year 2017. Ray, they say that they were even more prepared than 2017.
Yes.
And looking at all the issues were trended on by the 7 apex judges for a unanimous decision as well.
Indeed. And yes, Troy, yes, that is something that has come up there from senior counsel James Orengo there, who was leading a contingent of at least 42 lawyers, you know, for the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition there, putting off some of the prayers that they wanted. And they're saying, well, history has taught them something else, something new. In as much as they were prepared, well, it did not go their way, and they have picked that issue that all they have not even have had a single win or reprieve in all the 9 issues that the Supreme Court judges were making a decision on. And they said they even had some quite weighty evidence in some of the prayers that they sought. Remember, the question is, one of the issues was whether there was interference in the uploading of the transmission of the Form 34A from the polling stations to the IEBC public portal. This being the second issue that was they were seeking to have a judgment all. However, according to the Supreme Court judges there, who are unanimous in their decision that saw the upholding of William Ruto as president-elect, is that no credible evidence was presented to show interference, as well as the judges went further to just say that even with the findings of the scrutiny of 14 polling stations, there was no evidence, and that all the forms that were uploaded at the portal vis-a-vis what they found after scrutiny of the 14 polling stations is that the documents that were uploaded by the IEBC portal vis-a-vis what was found after that scrutiny that was ordered by the Supreme Court is that the documents were original and did tally. Then also they said that another issue that took is that whether there were unexplainable discrepancies between the votes cast for the presidential candidate and other elective positions, while declaring the judgment there, that are reading out the judgment, is that yet this is Martha Koome there said that this was an unproven hypothesis and there were no rendering them insignificant discrepancies to have the 7-judge bench annul, or rather nullify the election of William Ruto as president-elect in the August 9th polls. Those are just some of the live pictures of what is happening in various parts of the country, including Nyeri, Uasin Gishu, and a bit of CBD there. We'll be having a listening into what is happening in Karen, where we understand that leaders under the UDA, the Kenya Kwanza coalition there, are meeting, having a meetup there, lunch, and maybe we are expecting that President-elect William Ruto is going to be addressing the leaders therein, as well as the public, being his first address officially after the judgment that has been delivered there by the Apex Court there. Now, among the issues that came up was, for determination was the issue on the verification, tallying and declaration of results at Troy there. And this bordered on also the conduct of the IEBC as an oversight body when it comes to matters of election, as well as the conduct of the commissioners and the conduct of the IEBC chair. Therein, we saw the Apex Court give recommendations, quoting and saying that their far-reaching reforms are required within the IEBC, and maybe this is something that we are likely to see prioritized once the president-elect has been sworn in on September 13th, this happens to be Tuesday there, given that after delivering that particular verdict is that no information shows that the election was compromised, and also questioning the participation of the dissenting 4 commissioners there, and quoting that, other than seeing a last-minute boardroom rapture, and I'm using the words carefully there as used by the Chief Justice there when delivering this particular judgment. So Troy would want to have this conversation then. Are we seeing what key areas should the President-elect, once sworn in, based on, focus on based on the issues that have been raised in this particular petition? Maybe we can rope in our panel here that has been with us since morning and is still here with us, pre and post judgment. Troy.
Indeed. For me, if you ask me as a journalist, one thing I would actually urge the president is to unite Kenyans. Of course, every election leaves some groups that divide, some divisions here and there, and I believe that would be a good platform to start from, reaching out to the other side so that Kenyans, looking at the election cycle in Kenya is quite extended, and it would be good if we put all matters, politics and election aside, and then have a working government. That's me. And of course, we can bring in our experts. We are joined by 2 lawyers. We have been having Gibson Gisore, who is a constitutional lawyer since morning, and we also have Henry Kurauka, who is also a constitutional lawyer. And perhaps we have not even touched on how you guys have perceived that being officers of the court. Henry.
Yes, thank you very much. I do agree with the Supreme Court. Courts do not determine matters through speculations or hearsay or assumptions. The court are guided by facts, law, and merits of each case. And you can see the judges have been able to answer all the issues that were raised by the same court. And I do agree that their findings are illegal because they are the only 2 alternatives, either to validate or invalidate the elections. That is the power of the court. The other thing I would like to state is that for the entire judgment, that's where we may find the recommendations, that is within 21 days. We will be able to read the entire judgment and try to see the recommendations brought by the Supreme Court. These recommendations may be done by the government, HIBC, which is an independent organ, or our parliament, because some may require legal amendments. The other thing I would like to say is that courts do not conduct elections. It is the IEBC, and therefore it would be unreasonable to expect the Supreme Court to declare any person as elected. Finally, Ben, I would like to say that now we have leaders, and congratulations for the leaders who have been elected. What we need now is to embrace constitutionalism, core values, whereby the leaders are able to adhere to the rule of law, to embrace the good ideas of governance, core values, integrity, and to act in good faith, because they have a time to serve Kenyans. And for Kenyans, this is the time now, I want to say, back to green. We go back to our usual activities, our day-to-day, because at the end of the day, people of Kenya are the sovereign according to our constitutions. So we have to embrace peace, we have to be, brotherly and sisterly, and ensure that no violence or any activities that may affect our peace. Perhaps I would take this opportunity to say congratulations to our president-elect, who will be sworn on 13th of September, which is a public holiday by dint of the presidential assumption office.
And just a quick one. What stood out for you as a lawyer and in regards to that judgment, and bearing in mind that all judges affirmed and all issues were thrown out?
Yes, one thing that came out very clearly is the unanimous judgment. It is very rare to find the judges agreeing on every aspect, every issue in the pleadings. Mm-hmm. The second thing is their analysis and their findings in all the issues. It came out very well. They were able to link the role of IBC as a body corporate, where they raised issues of technical team. Remember, returning officers, presiding officers, the technical team, and many persons play a part. So it is one body corporate. And the way they were able to interpret Section 138, subsection 3C, which refers to IBC to render credible and transparent elections vis-a-vis Article 138, subsection 10, that gives the chairperson power to declare presidential elections. The other thing is, of course, the issue of irregularities and the standards to annul or invalidate elections. Remember, election matters have higher standards than in civil matters, where it is balance of probabilities, and lower standards in criminal matters, where it is beyond reasonable doubt. And the judge is saying allegations of fraud, criminality, and so on are matters that require very high standards of proof, and they are beyond the jurisdiction of the court.
Gisore, let me throw the ball to you. What really stood out in that judgment that has just been delivered by the 7 judges?
For me, Bentro, is the fact that we've been here with you analyzing this election, and I think I've been very consistent that I really didn't see any much of an issue with this election. My only concern was the boardroom rapture, which has been stated in point number 6, and that for me was very dear to my heart, because when I saw that happening during the announcement, I thought that that was very wrong, and that has been actually been cleared out in that we have seen the judges say that that was an corporate working for purposes of the IBC, and then there should be recommendations. I think more training should be conducted on how they should behave and on how they should be able to conduct their in-house affairs, because the law is very clear, and the law has been very clear. The courts have really found in favor of the president-elect that and IBC that indeed they did their job, but save for the last bit where we saw some of them seceding and trying to do a presser outside, which was wrong. And now, as Kenyans, we need to focus. We need to go back to our jobs. We need to actually do that, which, because as one of the I'm sorry to quote this, one of the advocates for Kenya Kwanza did mention that this case was all about a lot of noise with nothing, over nothing. But indeed, the opposition, we have seen Senior Counsel Orengo do state that it's unfortunate for them that their side really didn't actually didn't win on any of the issues. But the judges, I think, have been very clear. They have been able to itemize point by point by stating that, yes, this came by, this was the response, and this is what we found, that indeed they didn't reach the threshold. I told people that the case was a very good case, but what matters is the evidence, because courts rule on evidence.
Now, Gesore, since you've brought us to that point, the issue of, in your opinion, as a legal mind, what caused the Azimio camp this particular petition, from where you sit?
Evidence. Evidence, evidence, evidence.
But everything claims to have had, actually, if we just go back to what Senior Counsel Orengo said, and also Philip Murko there, part of the team there, they said that in some areas they had concrete evidence.
This evidence did not move the court that indeed it was qualitative enough. They came with a lorry full of evidence, but it was not qualitative enough. Because if you listen to Martha Koome read the judgment, she was very articulate that this was the allegation on this petition. This is the response we got. And we didn't find it. And then she goes on to qualify their statement that we looked at it from both ways. Some of them were actually realized to be, and then the key issues which they were relying on were actually sensationalized, which is really unfortunate because it's good for the media, but as a legal mind, from where I stood, I only told people, I only hoped that, because you are trying to annul the will of the people, you need to come with alternative numbers. There were no alternative numbers. That's where, for me, key for me was point number 5 and point number 7. Once those ones did not meet the threshold, I knew this thing was already gone. Yes.
What is the likely fate of IEBC going forward, looking at the recommendations that has been made by the Apex Court in regard to that there needs to be, a review, so to speak, reforms are required within the IEBC? What impact will this recommendation, is it likely to have?
I will only wait for the judgment in 21 days, I think, if I'm not wrong, Matakome said, to see what kind of recommendations they are giving. Because for me, IBC is at the center, is the man at the center of this election. And we need them to act in concert. So we need to actually demarcate the role of the chairman and the commission vis-a-vis the commissioners, because that's where the big issue came. We didn't have any issue with the commission, which was tallying and verifying. And then the aspect that who is given what, because Nyangaya was trying to state that, I'm the one in charge of IT, but I was not involved. So those are some of the issues we want set out. Is it that once you've been given a role, what is your district? Now we have to do in-house our housekeeping for the IBC, and that's really unfortunate for us because we expect them to do that for themselves.
Now let's have a listen into what is happening on ground. These are just various sights and scenes. We are currently in Eldoret, which happens to be in Uasin Gishu County, County 027 there, and as you can see, Kenyans have come out in significant numbers, so to speak, and they're celebrating. We understand there were some showers, but this did not keep them out from, celebrating here. That the Apex Court there, 7 judges have unanimously upheld the election of William Ruto as president-elect, and we expect in the next 7 days he's going to be sworn in. 7 days from now is going to be the 13th of September. These are just sights and scenes happening in Uasin Gishu County. Let's just
nataka mwapatie ile wimbo ya William ya kusema Bwana usehemu yangu, rafiki yangu wewe katika safari.
Now let's head to Kirinyaga.
Yeah, indeed, those are live pictures from Uasin Gishu, but let's cross over now to Kirinyaga County. We noticed there were some celebrations as well. An opinion and also just some sights and sounds and also reactions of residents in Kirinyaga, where as you can see they're just celebrating. We heard Uasin Gishu and in Nyeri. I saw somebody ask what the governor was speaking about there, but unfortunately he was speaking in the local tongue. And so as soon as we have those speeches in Swahili and English, we'll be crossing over to just get a feel of the reaction of leaders. Earlier on in Karen, as you had seen in some pictures earlier on we heard, is that a lot of leaders elected on a UDA and Kenya Kwanza ticket were there and they were watching it as a group. We do, of course, expect a link from there. We expect the president-elect to be making one. And let's have some reactions from Nyeri County now. And that is Nyeri Governor Mutahi Kahiga there leading there. Some prayers there at the Nyeri CBD, where, as you can see, it's jam-packed with jubilant supporters of Kenya Kwanza, UDA colors dotting the streets and singing. Rigathi Gachagua, who is the deputy president-elect, hails from this county, so you have to be keeping a keen eye on that. And we, of course, we expect a lot of reactions from leaders there. And as you can see, we are back. There we have some videos from Kirinyaga on the bottom left, and we have Uasin Gishu on the on the right of your screen. And if my director can guide me on the bottom right of their screen, this should be images from Kisumu, right, my director? Anyway, it's just we're just keeping a keen eye and traversing county after county, just getting some of the reactions after the Apex Court made its determination on the presidential election, which all the 7 judges have affirmed President-elect William Ruto, setting stage for the swearing in on Tuesday next week. Ray?
And the question is, now that this particular verdict is out there, what lies ahead for IEBC Chair Wafula Chebukati? Maybe we can hear from our counsels there. We listened to Henry Kurauka there. What does this mean? Because he has been adversely mentioned in this course of this particular petition. However, we have not had any criminal charges inferred on him, and this particular judgment, does it exonerate the chair? Counsel Henry Kurauka, what's your take?
In my view, the judges rather declined to discuss issues of criminal culpability because that is not their jurisdiction. Their jurisdiction is to establish and make a decision on presidential elections, whether it is valid or invalid. If there are other issues of criminality, I believe in their full judgment, they will make recommendations as to how the process should be handled. And that commences from the lower court, from the magistrates' courts, because that's where criminal cases start. then High Court for appeal or Court of Appeal. The other thing that we need to mention is that the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court is limited. Parties brought in so many matters, so many issues that were not relevant as provided in our Constitution. And therefore, a lot of things were sideshows, and I do agree with the judges. Finally, he who alleges must prove. That is the basic fact. And any court will only be persuaded by evidence presented, by facts, pleadings, and the law. Not innuendos, not social media, not assumptions, and so on. Thank you.
And still on the same, I remember Senior Counsel there, James Orengo, talking about, and even Philip Mugol talking about, we are waiting for the comprehensive report on the same, and you've talked about the court lacking the jurisdiction for the culpabilities. What happens to reports by, of course, there's the IBC report, there's a report by the Supreme Court registrar in regards to the boxes that were tallied, and the DCI report that was presented in court in regards to the Venezuelans. What remedies can they have?
Right. The remedies could be of criminal nature if proved. However, in my view, today's judgment settles issues as far as presidential elections are concerned in 2022. No person can reopen these issues. However, where there are criminal issues, those issues can be dealt with in accordance with the law. And I am informed there are a number of criminal cases pending relating to the election process, because if the returning officer or presiding officers commit a crime under Elections Act, they should be punished as per the law. But let me say this fight by the commissioners is wanting. We must condemn it. And in future, we want a united corporate entity. Let all commissioners sit down and resolve issues in-house, because coming to the public is not only threatening our peace, but it is also sending a very unfortunate image to the world, considering that IBC is an independent body. It cannot be influenced by any other party under our Constitution.
Indeed. And perhaps to come to you, Gisore, I know this is not the right time to bring this up, but it's something that, of course, it has to be heard. That is, of course, there was a petition that had been filed in court even before the petition by Raila Odinga. There was a petition filed in court in regards to the swearing in of President-elect. What happens? It's still pending in court.
Ben Troy, I guess, yes, there was that petition, I think, was it by Senior Counsel Kibe?
Kibe, yes, right, Kibe.
It was the advocate representing. I really haven't heard much about it. I am not sure whether it was even given a date, or if it was given a date, was it before this period or after? Because if it's given after, then it means the swearing in will just go on if there were no conservatory orders. We could only be discussing about it if there were conservatory orders issued, that indeed that cannot be able to go on till that matter is heard and determined. But in the event that there was no indication or any intimation from the court that that is the issue, that they are issuing conservatory orders for the swearing in of the president-elect and the deputy, then it means the process will go on as usual, and then the matter will later be heard and determined with whatever orders which will be issued. Then, of course, it means it didn't move the court to see that it was necessary to issue orders to stop that particular swearing in.
And Kurauka, looking at all the presidential petitions that we've had, the Apex Court had the opportunity to have a look at, we are seeing quite a paradigm shift from all other judgments. Indeed, you did say that the court is not bound by its own precedent, but this is the first time that we are having all the issues struck out and all the judges affirming.
Yes, and I commend the Supreme Court for that. indeed the IMBC chair appears to have followed the last Supreme Court judgment to the letter. That was his greatest defense. He came with it, he said, I complied with each and every recommendation. I disagree with my colleague. As far as presidential election is concerned, today it is the end of the game. There is nothing that can stop the swearing and assumption of powers of our new president. On the 13th of this month, expect Dr. William Samoei Ruto to be our president. That cannot be changed. And you see the Supreme Court in the BBI case was very clear that a sitting president cannot be taken to court over any other matter, whether criminal or civil matter or otherwise. And that now creates one irresistible conclusion that all the other petitions in the lower court will have to collapse, either be withdrawn or struck out by the various courts. Thank you.
And are we likely to see something emanate from all the lawyers I've talked about? They are waiting for that comprehensive report after 21 days. Can it affect anything later on? Other than that, I'm talking about the laws and how IBC perhaps conducts itself, the DCI. But hold the thought. Let's first of all cross over to Mombasa to have a feel of how the residents there have been following up on this petition. Junei?
Right, we're coming to you live from the streets of Mombasa, and it's a whole lot of mixed reactions from the residents of Mombasa. Some of them are celebrating, some of them it's a somber mood. Let me just get a feel of what they have to say concerning the ruling. Tuananza na nani? Karibu sana. Pito huu pande wangu huu. Tuambie unaitwa nani na songa tu nyuma hapo. Unaitwa nani na uamuzi huu mpokeleaje?
Mimi kwa majina naitwa Abubakari Maganga, ndio jina langu. Lakini uamuzi umekuwa mzuri, nashukuru kwa sababu at least uamuzi wa mahakama ulifata demokrasia na uamuzi haukuwa mbaya. Lakini muhimu kabisa ambacho mimi naweza nikasema kama Mkenya ni kwamba mimi naweza nikasema ya kwamba pande zote mbili tumepata ushindi. Upande wa baba na upande wa Ruto sote tumepata ushindi kwa sababu sisi ni Wakenya. Inatakikana kwa sasa tuweke tofauti zetu kando ili kama inawezekana tuweze kujenga nchi yetu, kwa sababu tunaona ya kwamba shida ni nyingi, pesa hakuna, kazi hakuna. Kwa hivyo najua challenge iko kwa William Samoei Ruto kwa sababu alitupatia ahadi nyingi ambazo tunajua ya kwamba atazikamilisha Mungu akimwezesha. Kwa hivyo tunamuombea kila laheri, akiapishwa aweze kutusaidia kwa mambo mengi ambayo tulikuwa tunatarajia kutoka kwake. Na sana sana kitu ambacho pia vile vile tunaona anaweza kutusaidia ni hii kitu inaitwa bottom up, kwa sababu bottom up tunataka kuiona sasa ikifanya kazi in really, kwa sababu alikuwa akitueleza kisiasa, lakini kwa sababu sasa ashaingia kwa serikali ataweza kutuonyesha bottom up itamsaidia nini mwananchi wa kawaida. Na kitu ambacho pia vile vile sisi kama wakaaji wa Mombasa tunamuomba sana Ruto aweze kutusaidia kama itawezekana, aturudishie poti kutoka kule ije huku, at least zile kazi na zile offices ziwe zinaweza kuja huku, at least Mombasa yetu iweze kufanya nini, iweze kuamka. Na kitu kingine pia Ruto namuomba aweze kufanya kazi na wanasiasa wote na Wakenya wote, asibague Mkenya huyu ama Mkenya huyu, afanye kazi kama kiongozi wa Wakenya.
Maombi shupavu sana hapa. Wacha nipate, songea tu hapa karibu. Uko upande gani, huzuni ama furaha?
Asante sana. Kwa majina naitwa Douglas, ni member wa Borana, bunge la wananchi hapa Borana Mombasa. Kwa sasa hii tumekubaliana na maamuzi ya mahakama, na kama Wakenya na kama wananchi wa Kenya, kitu kia muhimu kwanza ni tusikane, tuendelee na maisha yetu. Kitu ya pili, president ambaye amekuwa elected today as a 5th president, hakuna kibarua kigumu. Ya kwanza yeye mwenyewe alikuwa anatupatia hopes, na saa hii imefika time tunatakikana kuona hayo matunda ya hopes zetu. Najua by that time ilikuwa
za campaign,
ni semi za campaign, lakini Wakenya wameweka kwa kiria ngiwa mmoja wao. Na kitu cha pili, yeye kama kiongozi na huyu mwenzake walikuwa wanashindana na yeye, wote wako na wafuasi. Kitu tulikuwa tunaomba Mheshimiwa Ruto aite wale viongozi wengine waketi chini for the stability of the country, ndio tuendelee tuweke Kenya yetu kuwe mbele. Kenya ni kubwa kuliko hao viongozi kidogo, na sisi tunawachagua wao tuongoze sisi. Kwa hayo majaji kutoka hapa bunge la wananchi Borana, na malizi hapo.
Songa hapa, tuambie jina lako tu na utuambie hivi leo umeipokeaje. Songa nyuma tu kidogo dadi. Tuambie unaitwaje. Songa nyuma tu. Waitwaje na umepokea vipi?
Mimi naitwa Ahmed Shikuku, mkazi wa Mombasa. Nimepokea matangazo hayo kwa uzuri sana. Kwanza nawaombea sana wale majudges. Kama watakuwako 2027, 2032 watoe uamuzi kama huo kwa mtu yeyote ambaye atakuwa hajaridhika. Na kwa wale ambao walikuwa wamepeleka hii kesi mahakamani, walikuwa wamesema wanataka kujua ukweli. Wako tayari kukubali matokeo, lakini wajue ukweli. Ukweli wameambiwa, na kama hawajaambiwa, naomba mahakama iwapelekee copies ya ile judgment yao, wasome waelewe, ili watumie hii judgment kujirekebisha kwa sababu ya kesho.
Natarajia uongozi wa William Ruto hapa katika kaunti ya Mombasa itabadili nini?
Natarajia uongozi wa Ruto ufuate manifesto namna alivyotuambia, asiende nje ya manifesto yake, na hata kama itakuwa na maana kwamba ushuru uongezeke kwa watu ili apate kutekeleza manifesto yake, tuko tayari.
Asante. Niambie tu unaitwa nani? Umepokeaje? Uko wapi kwanza? Uko kwa huzuni ama umefurahia?
Mimi nimepokea haya matokeo kwa furaha, kwa sababu hivyo ndio nilikuwa natarajia na hivyo ndio imetokea. Lakini ile ningeweza kusema kwamba katika election hakuna ruhusa. All of us we are winners, because mwenye amechaguliwa hawezi kuja kuongoza watu wa UDA na watu ni ataongoza wa Kenya kwa uchumura. Na sisi Kenya tuwajua hii nchi imeenda mpaka uchumi umeenda chini kabisa, na huo uchumi tukienda kwa supermarket hatuna watu wa ODM, hatuna watu wa Simio, sisi wote ni familia moja. Kwa hivyo tunatarajia kiongozi ameingia mamlakani, especially Kenya tuko na brokers wengi, ambapo unaangalia katika kila sehemu. Kama hapa Mombasa tuna familia ambao zina control Mombasa. Tunataka Kenya kama ni election tunaenda, iwe si election ya family fulani inakuja inasema tunataka kupiga nini, tunataka kucheza hiyo nini. Tuwe ni mtu yoyote ambaye anaweza simama achaguliwe, kama vile tumeona kwamba Anasura Kanikam. Ukiangalia katika Levity Valley kuna watu mpaka walikuwa wanaenda na mkokoteni, sasa ni wabunge. Kwa hivyo ile naweza kusema ni kwamba zote ni washindi.
Those are just sentiments of the residents of Mombasa. One key point that I have noted is that there is no winner or loser in this race, and that every side, depending whether they were supporters or losers in this election, they should come together and work and to move Kenya forward. So I'm still with the residents of Mombasa County. I'll be bringing you more feedback or more of their celebrations, or some of them I know. I have interacted with them. They have not received the results well, so we'll be bringing you these reactions a little bit on with the bulletin. Back to you in studio.
Thank you, June Karisa, sampling some of the sentiments of residents of Mombasa live from the CBD. And from Mombasa, of course, they're optimistic that the president now will ensure that inclusivity and reach out. Quite some powerful sentiments there. Let's now cross over to Kirinyaga County, where we have our own Khalid Abdullahi, who has been keeping a keen eye on the happenings at the Supreme Court, live from Kirinyaga County, and joins us with this report. Khalid?
Sadakta kabisa mwenzangu Ben Troy, njoo huko studioni katika makao makuu ya shirika la KBC kule Nairobi, na tunakujia moja kwa moja kutoka kaunti ya Kirinyaga, hususan katika soko la Kirogoya Market, ambapo baada ya mahakama ya upeo kutupilia mbali ile kesi ambayo iliwasilishwa na kinara ama kiongozi wa Azimio la One Kenya kutupiliwa mbali siku hii ya leo, kulikuwa na sherehe ya si cha haja hapa katika eneo la Kirogoya, ambapo wakazi katika eneo hili wameonekana kusherehekea uamuzi wa mahakama ya upeo. Na katika pitapita zetu tumepata kuwaona kuwa wakisherehekea vigelegele, nderemo, vifijo ya aina yake imeonekana hapa katika soko la Kirogoya. Na nataka tu nikupatie tu taswira kamili, kwani sitaki kutumia mate ilhali wino uko. Nataka kuongea na moja ya wakilishi wa eneo hili ambapo anafahamika kama Eric Muchina, angalau atupatie tu maoni yake na ni nini hasa wanatarajia. Karibu sana kwa KBC, shirika la KBC, angalau utupatie maono yako na jinsi taarifa hiyo imekufikia.
Kwanza kabisa ni kuwashukuru wakaaji wa Kirogoya. Majina ni Eric Muchina, mwakilishi wa wodi eneo la Kirogoya. Kwanza kabisa tulikuwa na matumaini makubwa sana, na tukasema leo ni leo, asemaye kesho ni muongo, na tumeshukuru majaji 7 ambao wametoa uamuzi siku ya leo na wakaidhinisha kuwa rais wetu wa 5 ni si mwingine bali ni William Samoei Ruto, ambaye ni kinara wetu wa chama cha UDA. Kwa hivyo watu hapa ni shangwe na nderemo, kwa sababu waliomba, wengine walienda fasting, wengine pia walikuwa na matumaini makuu. Lakini kwa siku ya leo, hata venye tumeona kwa koti la upeo ambalo ni Supreme Court, tumeona masuala yale ambayo iliwasilishwa na watu wa Azimio ni masuala ya ambayo haikufikia, ambayo masuala ilikuwa ya uongo, ambayo masuala ilikuwa ya fitina, ilikuwa mambo mingi ambayo pia siku ya campaign kinara wetu pia alisema vile tu alisema sisi tuko na Mungu na wananchi, lakini wale walijigamba wakajipiga kiburi, wakasema tuko na deep state, sijui tuko na nini, tuko na...
Nataka nikukatiza hapo katikati. Yes. Tumeona kuwa baada ya uchaguzi Wakenya wamedumisha usalama, hususan pia sasa hivi. Je, unawahimiza nini Wakenya katika maeneo tofauti?
Kwanza kabisa hapa Kirogoya niliwaambia supporters wangu pia wa viongozi wengine baada ya uchaguzi na baada ya rais mteule kutangazwa yeye ni mshindi, tunashukuru Wakenya wote, hata wenye wako Kisumu, hata wenye wako Kibira. Hatukuwaona waking'oa reli, hawakuchoma manyumba, walidumisha amani. Na tunaona kwanza Kenya mahali imefika ni mahali Kenya imekomaa, kwa sababu ile civic education yenye tulikuwa tunapea watu wakati wa campaign, tunawaambia regardless matokeo yapi, regardless ni Ruto atatangazwa kama mshindi ama ni huyo mwingine, ambapo ni Ruto alitangazwa mshindi, tulikuwa tumeambia watu wadumishe amani. Na kwa swala hilo tumeona kabisa watu wamedumisha amani, na viongozi wote especially wa supporters wetu wa chama chetu cha UDA waliweza kudumisha amani. Tuliweza kuambia tugojee matokeo ya Supreme Court, tugojee majaji 7 vile watafanya uamuzi, tukawaambia watulie na wakatulia, na tumeona kwamba wametulia mpaka hali siku ya leo.
Naam, sasa nataka tulegeze kamba, tutoke kwa wakazi twende kwa viongozi. Mmepewa mamlaka.
Yes.
Je, unawaambia nini ama wito wako ni nini kwa viongozi ambao wamechaguliwa sasa hivi?
Kwanza kabisa ni kushukuru wakaaji na pia wapiga kura kwa vile wametupea majukumu ya miaka 5 kuwashughulikia na kuweza kuwatetea masuala mbalimbali. So kwa niaba ya viongozi wengine, mimi naweza waambia tuko na majukumu makubwa, majukumu ambayo tuliweza kuambia wananchi wakati wa campaign. Tuliweza kupeana manifesto zetu, tuliweza kuambilia watu campaign promises mingi. Kwa hivyo mimi nawaambia viongozi wengine tulishirikiane pamoja, umoja ni nguvu, tuweze kuletea wananchi maendeleo, tuweze kuwatetea katika bunge, tuweze pia kuleta manifesto ambayo ilikuwa chama chetu cha bottom up, kwa sababu hawa watu unaona hapa ni mahasla. Hii ni hustler nation. Tuweze kupeleka bottom up venye kiongozi kinara wetu ambaye ni rais wetu wa 5 vile alikuwa anasema kwamba tuweze kuinua uchumi. Sasa wakati huu kwa viongozi si masuala ya siasa, na wale walioshindwa wakubali kushindwa, kutoka MCA, kutoka MP kwenda senator, hata governor, hata twende president. Hata hiyo swala limetolewa na uamuzi Supreme Court. Ni vizuri mzee wetu Raila Odinga akubali matokeo ya Supreme Court, asiturudishe kwa ati, kwa sababu justice, vile wimbo wa taifa unaimba, justice be shield our and defender. Kwa hivyo akubali matokeo ya Supreme, na pia ambie supporters wake waweke amani, kwa sababu sisi tuliweka amani kutoka hiyo wakati IEBC ilitangaza kwamba William Samoei ndiye rais. Na tena ni kushukuru IEBC leo tumeona pia kwa Supreme Court majaji wamesema hizo zote zilikuwa fitina, kwamba wao hawakufanya uchaguzi wa haki. Sisi tunajua, tuliamka asubuhi tukapiga kura, pia sisi wananchi wakatupea majukumu la kuwa maofisini, na tena hivyo Supreme Court imesema kwamba the elections zilikuwa za uhuru na haki. Kwa hivyo hakukuwa na wizi hata kidogo. Kwa hivyo tunashukuru majaji kwa kufanya uamuzi huo. Asante.
Naam, mtazamaji, kama unavyoona, kama unavyosikia pia na kama unavyotazama, huyo ni mwakilishi wa wadi hapa katika eneo ama wadi ya Kerugoya, ambaye akitupatia tu taswira yake kamili na hisia zake kuhusiana na ile uamuzi uliotolewa na mahakama ya upeo siku hii ya leo, ambapo wamesema kuwa rais mteule William Ruto ndio atashikilia usukani. Wanasema kuwa samaki ama nyama yote imepikwa, sasa tunangoja kupakuliwa. Kwako studio, Bentorenjwe.
Shukran Halid Abdullahi akiwa county ya Kirinyaga. They are sampling some of the leaders. Actually, I sampled some of the responses from this current MCA there. And as you can see in your screen, is set. Those are live pictures from Karen. Yes, Mike Chest 1-2. We're expecting the president-elect to be giving his statement. And as you can see, Kenya Kwanza leaders, UDA, there we can see Musalia Mudavadi, Alfred Mutua. We see Kirinyaga County Governor Anne Waiguru also there. We are expecting that the president-elect will make his first major statement in regards to this Apex Court decisions. And also, as you can see, those are live pictures from the Nairobi CBD. Right, my director? Yes, indeed, it is just Kenyans there at the Kencom bus station. And Kenyans there are waiting. There were big screens in various parts of the CBD there. And jubilant, some are continuing with their business after that decision. And those are live pictures now, again, from Karen. That is the resident of President-elect William Ruto there. Our leaders had gathered there and they were listening and keeping a keen eye on the happenings at the Apex Court. We do expect that a major announcement will be made. Leaders, as you can see, they are still streaming in just to congratulate the president-elect, who we expect to be sworn in as the 5th president on Tuesday the coming week. Ray?
There, and we have been having a view of the country, so to speak, in various strategic counties as well as towns there, to just look at what Kenyans have to say and what is the general mood. This was highly anticipated. Noon was a time that was slated to have the decision, and the decision has been rendered unanimously, so to speak, by the Apex Court that has upheld the election of William Ruto there as president-elect. Those are live pictures from Karen, where we expect that the President-elect William Ruto is going to be giving his address, the first after the delivery of the judgment in this petition. This particular petition had 9 issues, among them the issue of interference, whether technology deployed by the IEBC in the elections met the standards of integrity, verifiability, security and transparency. All the 7 judges there unanimously making the decision and saying that all the 9 key issues, there was no substantive evidence to nullify the election. And such, we have William Ruto as the president-elect. And those are live pictures from Karen, where he's expected to take to the podium anytime from now to address leaders under the Kenya Kwanza coalition there, as you can see, as well as affiliate members who already are the current residents, anticipating to hear from the president-elect William Ruto there. That's the residents. And we can see contingent of security apparatus already there. We can see GSU as well, some plainclothes police there, just trying to ensure that the stage and the area itself is secured, awaiting that particular address. We're also having leaders there. As you can see, we're zooming in on Kirinyaga governor-elect there, as well as Ken Lusaka there. We're also having some members of the communication team under Kenya Kwanza there, led by former journalist Mohammed Hussein there. We're also seeing Alfred Mutua and ANC leader Musalia Mudavadi there, among the Kenyans who are eagerly anticipating the first address there, so to speak, after the delivery of the judgment of the presidential petition after the August 9th polls. Earlier on, we were just having views from Kenyans across the country. We gave you a look of how things are looking at in Eldoret town, Uasin Gishu County, as well as Nyeri there and Kirinyaga, and also just a sneak peek into activities down at Kencom area, the Central Business District, where we have our reporters who have been just keenly looking at how the country is looking at. Now we soon let's have a listen into what Kipnusu has for us there down from Eldoret, Uasin Gishu. Kipnusu, good afternoon.
A very good afternoon to you, my colleague there at the Broadcasting House in Nairobi. Yes, indeed, I'm coming to you live from Uasin Gishu County, one of the counties where all eyes have been focused on. Bearing in mind this is the home county of the president-elect William Samoei Arap Ruto. And residents here have been eagerly awaiting this proclamation from the 7-judge bench, and they have been here enduring heavy downpour, just watching a big screen mounted here in the CBD. And after the after the announcement from the 7-judge bench, of course, from the Chief Justice and the President of the Supreme Court, this particular place went into celebration. The residents here are excited, and it is actually on another level. As you can see behind me, a number of them are continuing with their celebrations. Of course, traditional songs from the Kalenjin community is the one renting the air, and joining me is a number of them just to tell us their views about the pronouncement from the 7-judge bench. Asante sana, karibia hapa, naona umevalia magwanda haya. Pengine tueleze kwanza unaitwa nani na mbona uko katika hali hii, na umechukuliaje uamuzi uliotolewa na majaji wa mahakama ya upeo?
No, first of all, let me start by introducing myself. My name is Kevin Kosge. This is the region where I belong. Mimi ni mkazi wa hapa Uasin Gishu, nimezaliwa hapa. Kwanza mimi nina furaha zaidi, manake nina furaha kwa sababu nimeweza kupata president ambaye anatoka area hii. Ni furaha, ndio maana naona nimevalia hii kitu hapa. Hii kitu kwa Kikalenjin tunaita sinendet. Hii ndio sisi mababu zetu ndio tuambia, hii ndio kitu za zile mahali kuna sherehe, mahali yani any ceremonial yenye inaendelea. Hii sisi kwa kwetu ndio maana unaona tunavalia hii kitu hii. Mimi kwanza nina furaha kabisa. Asante.
Pengine nipate mwanadada, pengine songea hapa karibu. Ruto ametangazwa kuwa rais mteule, na uamuzi ule majaji umekuwa ukisubiriwa zaidi. Pengine matarajio yako ni yapi na unahisi kivipi baada ya tangazo hilo?
Kwa majina naitwa Masi Chepchirchir, mimi ni mkaaji hapa Uasin Gishu. Tuko na furaha tele. We just say congratulations to our president-elect. Thank you.
Asante sana. Pengine kijana songe hapa, wewe vile umekuwa hapa, matarajio yako ni yapi wewe kama kijana? Maanake tunazungumzia kuhusiana na kuchukua kwa ajira miongoni mwa vijana.
First of all, my name is Jackson Maya. We are so happy by what the Supreme Court has just announced. Tunafurahia sana. We want to say congratulations to anaitwa Doyen William Samoei Ruto. Yeah.
There is another lady who has been praying all through when the 7-judge bench, of course, when the Chief Justice and the President of the Supreme Court was making a number of issues regarding to the presidential petition. And I want to understand what was going on. Unaomba wakati ambapo zoezi hilo lilikuwa linaendelea. Pengine umehisi vipi na unaona kwamba wale majaji wameweza kutoa uamuzi ambao ni wa busara?
Bwana asifiwe. Kwa majina naitwa Pastor Rosti ya Mtai na ubiri taoni. Ombi langu lilikuwa naomba tu ya kwamba Mungu asituaibishe, atuinue kutoka kiwango kingine hata kingine. Maana tunajua kwamba Biblia nasema kwamba katika kitabu cha Isaia 54 mstari wake ni 17, kula silaha kinyume chetu haitafanikiwa. Nilikuwa nasema kwamba kuna silaha kinyume chetu ya kupangwa atakayefanikiwa kwa maisha yetu. Maana sisi ni washindi na you are more than conquerors in the name of Jesus. Mbarikiwe na neema ya Mungu tutoshe. Amani, amani, amani ya Yesu.
Asante sana. Pengine una maoni vile kuhusiana na swala hili, tukitamatisha, nini kipi ambacho unatarajia kwamba Ruto ataweza kufanya au matarajio yako kwa rais mteule William Ruto?
Mimi kwa majina naitwa David Mokuria. Naweza tarajia apunguze bei ya unga na mafuta. Sana hiyo ndio muhimu, kwa imeleta shida sana.
Pengine swala la ajira
kwanza kwa sisi kama vijana kama sisi tumemaliza shule juzi. Tunataka ajira itokee. Kama mimi nimesomea agriculture, naweza penda agriculture.
Asante sana. Wa mwisho pengine, mwanadada, unaona vile umevalia kijunji hapa, pengine ukiteremka hapa chini, wewe unahisi vipi? Na vile kwa mara ya kwanza wale majaji wameweza kutupilia mbali ile pendekezo ya wale ambao walikuwa wanapinga rufaa au kupinga uamuzi wa Kenya kuhusiana na William Ruto kuchaguliwa. Pengine unasema nini?
Niko na furaha sana. Kwa majina kwanza naitwa Eunice Bonai kutoka Moiben hapa Wasingishu. Niko na furaha sana kwa siku ya leo kwa sababu ni mara ya kwanza tukipata president amewania kitu for the first time na amepita. Kwa machache tunawashukuru, congratulations sana Mother Koome.
Asante. Wa mwisho?
Kwa majina naitwa Kipchirchir Evans. Mimi ni mkaaji wa hapa Eldoret. Nashukuru chaji kwa kutupatia president William Ruto. Niko na imani William Ruto atakuja kutusaidia sisi wakazi wa Eldoret, hasa sisi watu wa bodaboda. Tuko na imani naye sana kwa promise inakuwa tumepromise. Tuko imani sana atakuja kutusaidia kwa hapa Eldoret.
Kwa sasa kuna wale ambao walikuwa wanataraji kwamba pengine Raila atatangazwa. Wito wako kwao ni nini hasa ikizingatiwa kwamba Wakenya waliweza kushiriki katika zoezi la uchaguzi, Ruto alipotangazwa wakawa na amani? Unasema nini kuhusiana na swala hilo?
Mimi nawaambia watu wenye kwa side ya Raila wakuje pamoja tufanye kazi. Hii injini yetu na hii injini ya kila mtu, injini yetu sisi wote.
Wito kwa watu wa Raila nawaambia karibuni Kenya Kwanza, tuunde serikali mpya pamoja na Kenya Kwanza. And kwa Raila, there is tomorrow, my leader.
There you have it, my colleague there at the broadcasting house. The excitement is immense. A number of them are having expectation that William Samoei Ruto, once he is sworn in on 13th of this month, he's going to deliver a number of issues. Of course, the bottom-up economic model that he promised the Kenyans all over the country. And of course, also they are having confidence that William Ruto will address the issue of unemployment, and of course also the issue of the bleeding of the burden of the high debt in the country. A number of issues that actually was in the manifesto of the Kenya Kwanza alliance led by William Samoei Ruto. And of course, I'm told, and a number of places where I went, a number of schools were closed just to celebrate this win that was really expected. Remember, William Ruto garnered 272,868 votes here in Uasin Gishu County against his closest competitor, Raila Amolo Odinga, who garnered 76,009 votes. So it is celebration in Uasin Gishu County, as you can see, as you can hear behind me, and it seems this celebration is not going to be over. We'll be here painting a picture in Uasin Gishu County, the political bedrock of William Samoei Ruto. From me, Timothy Kipnusu, I hand you back to the studio in Nairobi.
Timothy Kipnusu for that particular update on what is happening in Eldoret town that happens to be Uasin Gishu County there. And as my colleague mentioned, that has been a bedrock for William Samoei Ruto there. Kenyans down there very ecstatic with the decision that the Apex Court just made in under 1 hour and a half ago there, upholding the election of William Samoei Ruto as president-elect. He's going to be sworn in after 7 days. That makes it September 13th. And we are going to be keeping tabs on that. We'll continue also to keeping tabs on various parts of the country, including the Central Business District there, where Hibak Said has been setting camp to just look at what is happening and as far as business is running, is operations underway in terms of public transport and such. And we're going to be bringing you up to speed with that. We are also monitoring what is happening at the current residence there, where we expect that for the first time after declaration there, or the verdict being read by none other than Chief Justice Martha Koome there, that upheld the election of William Ruto as the president-elect there. We expect that he's going to be addressing contingent of leaders that are already at his current residence there amid a heavy security presence. Now, we'd want to take you down to Siaya County, County 42 in Bondo, where we're joined by my colleague Wycliffe Okech to bring us up to speed with what is happening. Good afternoon, Wycliffe. What's the status report from Bondo?
Well, good afternoon to you, Regina Manyara, back in Nairobi. We are, of course, coming to you live from Bondo town in Siaya County. This is the hometown of Azimio la Umoja presidential candidate Raila Odinga. And we know that the verdict that has been waited with bated breath has actually been delivered this afternoon by the 7 bench judges that forms part of the Apex Court. And now we can confirm actually the president, the Deputy President William Ruto is now the president-elect and will be sworn in on the 13th. And actually that has elicited quite some reactions across the country. We have seen celebrations in parts where William Ruto was actually very famous and popular. But then coming back down to the strongholds of Raila Odinga, we do know that this is the Siaya County, the home county of Raila Odinga, and we can expect that basically this is one of his political backyards and territories. And it hasn't been quite a similar scenario as witnessed in other areas of the other parts of the country, as my colleague Christine behind the camera is basically panning and showing you what the picture you are seeing on the screens right now is that it is all normal, and it's all normal, and people are just going about their businesses here. You can see the border riders are parked here waiting for customers to transport to various areas, and people are just going about their activities as usual. Actually, right now here there is just very little to celebrate, and it's not all gloomy though. People are just probably this is something expected. I have spoken with a number of them before coming on set here, and some of them they expected the ruling, but some of them this has come as a surprise. But before delving deeper into this, Regina, I have a few gentlemen here probably to talk to us and get to hear from them what did they expect from the ruling this afternoon, and what is it to them going forward. Brother, if you can just move here and face the camera here and tell us your names in full. And we had seen, we saw the proceedings, or rather we followed the proceedings last week at the Apex Court, that the Supreme Court, both sides, the divide, the petitioners and the respondents argued their case, and today the verdict has been delivered, and it hasn't gone the way probably you guys expected. Maybe you can just tell us your name and briefly, what did you expect, and how do you feel now?
I'm Wycliffe Okech. I'm a resident of Bondo. I never expected such a verdict from the Supreme Court, because based on the evidence of the Azimio la Umoja, we as supporters, we were convinced that this election was null and void. So what we are waiting for now is to get direction from our presidential candidate, His Excellency Raila Odinga. Thank you.
And probably you can, when I look around, I can see the normalcy, just people are going about their businesses as usual. This is probably not the scenario maybe in a few electoral cycles. What has changed?
Nothing much have changed. If you are so keen, if you look at 2017, 2013, We supporters of Raila Odinga, what we do, we wait for him to speak to us. So whatever Raila will say, that is the direction we shall take. If he says, let us move on, it is okay. If he gives us another direction, that is it. And that is why you can see things are very normal. We are still waiting for him. Okay. Thank you.
What is your message to the rest of Kenyans?
What I want to tell Kenyans, let us now respect the opinion of the Supreme Court. But again, in the opinion of the public, we are not convinced based on the evidence that we saw live on our television sets. Thank you.
All right. Regina, I have a few more to interview and get the reactions regarding the verdict that was delivered. You can just come on set and look into the camera and tell us your name and what did you expect out from the ruling today, and has it gone according to your expectation?
Okay, thank you. My name is Joseph Oyamo. I'm a resident of this place, Bondo Town. Yes, having said that, today's ruling by the Supreme Court has actually come out as a surprise. Yes, as supporters of Azimio here in his very backyard, we were expecting that, he could win because people turned out and voted for him massively. But of course, the result that was released by the IBC was not convincing, and there was the case in the court that followed. And by the evidences that we saw the legal team producing before the court, they were kind of convincing. But now, as we have just seen, every petition that was placed before the court has been dismissed, and the result is out. Yeah, we just have to accept. Yeah, in as much as we may not agree, but we accept. Yeah.
As an individual, how are you going to treat this, and what message do you have for the rest of Kenyans, especially probably those that reside in these parts of the country?
Oh, as an individual, Kenya is bigger than myself. Yes, and the decision, once it has been made by the Apex Court, there's nothing much that I can do. As I've said, I've accepted, and I'll continue with my day-to-day activities, and even to other people who have been showing their full support to Raila Odinga. I would just like to urge you to resume to your daily activities. There's nothing much we can do. If at all there is anything, Raila with his team will actually give us direction. Yeah, I know he may talk today or tomorrow. Once he had talked, I think he will advise us. But as individual, let us also make decisions that are helpful to us and to our country. Yes, let us not get into violence. Yeah.
As a resident of this region, probably what do you expect from the regime that is coming in?
The regime that is coming in, of course, for a very long time, this region has been in opposition, and as a result, there has not been much development as compared to the areas that have been in government. So probably I would expect the same, but if something happens, maybe I can be proven wrong if I can see new developments. But as we can see, the place, as you compare with other places that leaders have been supporting the government, there's a substantial difference on development. Yeah, so I would expect the same, but maybe this one may be different. Yes. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ben Trenjue, those are some of the reactions from the residents of Bondo Town, like you've heard from the two that I've just spoken with, is that they're mentioning that they will respect the decision of the court that has upheld the victory of William Ruto in the August 9th presidential election. And what they are calling upon is for the electorate here, or rather the residents of this region, to be specific to respect the decision of the court, and work with the government of the day, actually, because the president of Kenya is a president of every Kenyan, of everybody within the Kenyan borders, and that has actually been the call from the residents that have been able to speak with in this region. Maybe something that I have to mention is the security situation in the county here, in this region rather. Before I came on set, actually I spoke with the Siaya County Police Commander regarding the security situation in the county, and he has assured me that, or rather he has mentioned that up to now there is nothing actually to report about, that everything is normal, and that is visible from the background. Like you can see, Ben Troy Njue, this is just like another day to the residents of Kisumu here. There is no much excitement, there is not all that gloom actually. It is just normal, and that reflects whatever you're seeing on the background, that reflects what has been happening actually in the larger Siaya County, which is the home county of Raila Odinga. The residents here are saying they will maintain peace, they will work with the government of the day, but then what they are calling upon the next regime is also to run an inclusive government. Well, I'll continue speaking with the rest of the residents and sample their views and reactions, and all that will come to our viewers exclusively in our next bulletin. So back to you, Ben.
Thank you, Wycliffe Okech from Bondo there. And as you have seen, as he has alluded to, is that no pomp, no color. Their residents continuing with their day-to-day activities and saying that let's respect the apex court. Of course, they do not agree with it, but let's respect that so that we may go on. Then from Bondo, let's now cross over here to the capital city, Nairobi, where Hibak Said has been keeping a keen eye since morning at the CBD, just to see how things are. Of course, earlier on, security had been beefed up. There was some screen mounted in various parts of the CBD. How are things now, Hibak?
Thank you, Ben Troy Njue. We are still here at the Central Business District, and just an update from when we last spoke. Now, people here have been waiting for 12 p.m. or 12 noon to hear what exactly the Supreme Court would say and what exactly the judgment would be. At around 1 p.m. when the judgment came out, people were in jubilation. Just a few minutes ago here at the Central Business District Archives, we saw a lot of people. They were gathered around. They were jubilation. They were jubilant. They were talking about how they're very happy with what has come. But the message that prevailed was peace. A lot of Kenyans just want peace. The businesses are continuing as they have been. And maybe we could just talk to you as a person who was supporting or in support of the president-elect. Mlikuja hapa, mkapiga mbwembwe, you guys had a lot of fun. What exactly was your feeling when you heard what the Supreme Court had to say?
Okay, kwanza kwa majina naitwa Kiprono James. Nataka nishukuru Bwana Chebukati, Martha Koome kwa ruling yenye leo wameifanya. And then nataka nishukuru tena wa Kenya vile wame keep peace, kila kitu inaendelea, na si wote ni mandugu na si wote ni ma sisters. So nataka niwaambie bwana rais elect William Ruto wasalimiane na Raila, waongee pamoja kinauru, si wote ni ndugu moja. Alafu Kenya iende mbele, na tena nishukuru wananchi kwa sababu wameiweka hii nchi iwe funzo kwa nchi zingine kwa amani ambao wameiweka. Asante sana.
Now, that is just one side of the coin, Ben Troy. You hear the people are they want peace, they want coordination, they want cooperation. And maybe for the Azimio side, they also had you had your own side, you had your own story, you wanted your own ruling. However, the ruling was the president-elect would be Ruto, or rather the president, or rather the elections would be upheld. What exactly were your thoughts?
Okay, my thoughts, I think my name is Francis Kegadi. I was a Azimio party, and today is my bad day. Let me say my bad day or a good day, because sikuwa natarajia Martha Koome ata announce Ruto, but kwa sababu ana announce Ruto, mimi kama mfuasi wa baba nimesha kubali kushindwa, na nimesema baba kesho asubuhi nitakuja kwake pale Karen. Mimi mwenyewe nimetoka huko kijiji inaitwa Kingston, nitaenda kwake nimpeleke bodo, hata kama ni fair nimekubali kutoa fare yangu tuende nyumbani pamoja, juu
asiyekubali kushindwa sio mshindani, na ninaomba washikane mkono hivi tuende kama tujenge nchi pamoja. Asante sana KBC. Kenya ni moja.
That is the picture that Kenyans here at Nairobi are sending to you, Ben Troy, and are sending to other Kenyans. People want peace, people want cooperation, and they're okay with the judgment that has been made. Now, back to you in studio, Ben Troy.
Thank you so much, Hibak Said, there with two supporters, one of Azimio and the other happens to be a Kenya Kwanza, and they've talked about the handshake, and I think this is what we have been talking about as Kenyans. Let's wait for the Apex Court. The Apex Court has delivered its judgment, and now it's for us to embrace it and move forward. Look at the economy, the battered economy. Look at the high cost of living. Those are some of the issues that are affecting each and every Kenyan, despite your political divide. That was Nairobi CBD. We are keeping a keen eye on various parts of the country, and looking at your screen, what you're seeing is another venue that we are giving a keen eye, and we have been doing so the better part of the morning there. That is the Deputy President residence, where President-elect will be addressing Kenyans from. And as you have seen, is that we have seen that a lot of leaders have already gotten to that. We'll be crossing over there. But on your screen is my colleague Simon Achola, straight all the way from Kisumu. Achola, how has things been there?
Thank you very much, Ben Troy and Joey. Here in Kisumu, everything is a bit calm, much more than you would expect. Where I'm standing, I'm just standing next to Oginga Odinga Street. Now, 5 years ago, this street was a beehive of activities on a day like this, when the Supreme Court had annulled the then presidential election. All residents had actually gathered along the streets and were celebrating. I remember very well that we were standing where we are actually standing, and we could barely move because of the number of people that actually poured on these streets in terms of celebration. But today, the situation is pretty much different from what we saw several years back. What we have seen today is that the locals are calm, cool and collected. They are going about their business. A number of businesses have actually been closed for obvious reasons. We have actually tried as much as we can to engage a number of locals here. We were in Kondele early in the morning and the better part of mid-morning. And what happened is that the locals there actually were very categorical with us and told us that they didn't want the media around that place because they felt that just the mere presence of the media in that place would actually attract huge or large crowds in that particular place, and that they had said might actually turn into chaos. So they wanted to have their peace of mind as they reflect on exactly what Supreme Court has actually delivered today. We have actually also gone to various bunge la wananchi, the small groups that actually gather around town to discuss political issues and of course current affairs in this particular CBD, and most of them have actually turned us away, and they are saying that they want to reflect on today's Supreme Court ruling, and most of them are also of the opinion that they want to maintain peace and order, and they wouldn't like a situation where people are actually gathering and they feel that probably too much gathering might actually flare up a situation. However, Ben Troy, Joey, where we are at now as I've said, we are along Oginga Odinga Street, and there are a number of boda riders who've actually gathered here, and locals who would actually want to say one thing or two. We will try as much as we can so that then we keep it civil and we ensure that we are within the narrow and straight route of conversation. Niambie unaitwa nani?
Kwa majina naitwa Collins Oluoch aka Wood Nyara Kingley.
Wood Nyara Kingley.
Kabisa.
Leo koti imetoa maamuzi yake. Wewe kama mkazi wa Kisumu, kwanza kabisa wewe umepokea vipi?
Kwa kwangu wenyewe mimi nimepokea hiyo ruling ya court, but ijanifurahisha vile. Juu kwanza nikianza vile petition ilienda kwa mbele ya jaji Martha Koome. Vile nilisikia akiangusha mapetitioners wote wa 6, akawaangusha petition yao yote. Imeniambia eti Kenya yenyewe imekaa kani kucheza sabiki jackpot mbao. Yenye unaweka pesa 20 bob alafu unachagua autoplay na mashini ndio inakuchagulia mshindi. Hiyo kitu janifresha kenyewe. Kusema ukweli Kisumu naye tuko na amani. Juu hatutaki vita. awali nimekuwa nikisema, hata nikiambia watu wangu wa bodaboda wengine, nikawaambia eti punda imechoka, na ikichoka imechoka kabisa. Tutaendelea kufanya na rais mwenye amechaguliwa, na ningependa kumuomba huyo rais wetu William Ruto, vile hata alisema awali sijui watu wa Kisumu kufanya kazi na yeye sijui nini, atupilie hizo mbali na kuja tuletee maendeleo, kwa sababu yeye ndio amechaguliwa. Na hata Martha Koome alisema eti Supreme Court is the final, hakuna kitu yenye tunaweza fanya, na yenyewe kama mimi kwangu hiyo matokeo hajaniridhisha kabisa.
Lakini umekubaliana nayo?
Nitafanya nini? Lazima nikubaliane nayo. Juu yeye ndio ametoa uamuzi yake, na hakuna koti nyingine tena tunaweza enda. Na kitu yenye niudhi kabisa, kusema tu kweli, hakuna ange support hata petitioner mmoja aseme eti Julie Soweto petition yake ilikuwa sawa, lakini hiyo iwezi fanya tunalify election ya president elect. Na ameanza na moja, didn't reach our court suffrage. Ingine pia eti didn't meet our court sijui nini, vitu mingi akazitupa zote, hadi vyenye aliambiwa eti kuna Jose Kamago aliinterfere na system. Nimesikia akisema eti Jose Kamago alikuwa maintenance wa IBC portal. Sasa tunashindwa, IBC ili employ Jose Kamago ama IBC pia ilikuwa na watu wake wenye walikuwa inafaa waifanye hiyo maintenance. Hiyo kitu ijanifurahisha kabisa.
Shukrani sana Morris. Kabla uende, Wodnya Kingly inamaanisha nini?
Wodnya Kingly ni jina ya pali mamangu amezaliwa hapo. Hata mkiwatch za zingine TV mnaonanga nini, tumbili nasumbuaga watu hapa nyuma ya Kodiaga prison. Sasa mamangu amezaliwa hapo.
Asante sana. Well, of course, humor, you'll never lack humor in this part of the country. We will talk to the next resident. Tualizo naitwa nani?
Yeah, man. Greetings. I am called Ronnie Bulwa. I go with the artist name Ronnie Clay.
Ronnie Clay, just give us your overview of or how you have actually received today's court ruling, and kindly please very quickly.
Yeah, man, you know, everything God created. What you have seen today, Almighty God created. So everything is all right. Everything is going to run cool. So, you know, the way you receive the message, everything is going to run cool. Above all, we have the prophecies about Rastafari community. You know, in Rastafari community, we have the prophets. And what we are seeing right now had been prophesied before. Yeah, it's only that we don't have a place where we can reach media services earlier. But we have a project that is working on this.
Okay.
You know.
Thank you very much. Of course, those are his views, agreeing with what Supreme Court has actually ruled today, and says that the more important thing is for actually Kisumu residents to remain peaceful, even as they contemplate on or they absorb in what has actually been given out by the verdict that has actually been given out today by the Supreme Court. Utaongea ama niongee na mwingine?
Nitaongea kwa Kiswahili.
Nieleze wewe unaitwa nani na maoni yako?
Mimi naitwa Samuel Otieno. Natoka Siaya County.
Samuel, tueleze leo mahakama ya Supreme Court imeshatoa uamuzi wake, na bila shaka wameshikilia kwamba Ruto ndio alichaguliwa kama rais wa 5 wa nchi hii. Maoni yako ni yapi?
Mimi nasema hivi, hii Kenya yetu hii tumesafinyiwa sana mara mingi. Hatuna haki yetu. Hii haki yetu tunafinyiwa kabisa. Hata sasa hata Kisumu hatuna furaha. Watu wanajidanganya watu wana furaha, lakini hakuna furaha Kisumu, kwa sababu tunajua baba tunachukua baba hajapata president.
Lakini muhimu sana tudumisha amani. Ni muhimu sana tudumisha amani.
Hakuna amani hapa Kisumu. Kesho mambo itaweza tokelezea. Leo ndio watu wanakuwa na amani, lakini kesho hatuwezi jua vile kesi itakuwa.
Shukran sana. Of course, those are your views. We can actually just have a small talk over the same.
Okay, my name is Didan Obura. What I can say over the election is we just thank for all that has happened. but what we know that our vote never counts as Kenyans. Instead, we have a computerized system that chooses us, the leaders, as to what we have seen since the nullification of 2017, this time round, through everything that has occurred, through whatever everybody has seen. The whole world is seeing that things are not right. Even in the IEBC system, we cannot have 3 officials of IEBC giving us the presidential-elect executive. So as we have nothing we can do at the moment, we just request that Raila Amolo Odinga and William Samoei Ruto, they just lead this country towards the right direction ili tuweze tukapata usaidizi kama Kenyans wote.
Jambo la kufurahisha ni kwamba wakazi wa Kisumu wamekuwa na amani sana. They've maintained peace even given the fact that of course, as you say, some do not agree with the ruling of the Supreme Court. Very important gesture has been the fact that most of the residents in this region have actually accepted the ruling and have maintained peace. Your call on residents from this region, is this the way to go so that then we maintain peace even as we forge forward, and even as our leaders actually think in terms of what next in terms of rearranging the political dynamics of this region so that then they can actually play in the big field again? Okay, so what I can say concerning that, I would beseech the Kisumu people to maintain the peace, because there is no reason as to why we would fight, destroy our things and the few properties we've made over a period of time because of maybe just a declaration, a computerized declaration. I think we just need to maintain our peace, work in our businesses, open up our businesses, we continue with the life as normal so that normalcy may continue. And we don't dispute working with William Ruto, because he's the president-elect. We just pray that everything goes well. It drops down his anger, his political anger, which is we have seen to be very dangerous. The words that he's been throwing towards Odinga, towards the
buses on transit going to Uganda or Somalia or anywhere. So we must accept that the fifth President of our Republic, as it has gone all the required stages,
regardless of whether you voted for him or not,
that is what we have been told, and that is what Kenyans want.
With every leader in this country.
In electioneering, and a winner is a winner, and a winner must be accepted. And we are all Kenyans. None of us is on transit going to Uganda or Somalia or anywhere. So we must accept
that if he's the one who is going to work with us, let him just drop all the political differences. He's now an executive leader. He's the Kenyan president, not the president of Nairobi, not the president of Nakuru. He's the president of everybody. And we have just resorted to work with him. What will we do? No matter our political differences, we were the stronghold of the Azimio, or our Azimio candidate who is Raila Amolo Odinga. Even him, he has this stronghold which is in Nakuru. So there's no problem with us being the stronghold of Raila Amolo Odinga. Let us work together for the benefit of the whole country.
It's a very good place to end the conversation. We have another resident here who will actually tell us his opinion on exactly what happened today. Yes, you can.
Okay. Imekuwa ngumu kwangu sana kukubali kwa matokeo, lakini kama youth wa Kisumu nishakubali matokeo. Na ni funzo kwa Wakenya wote kuona kama Kisumu leo tayari lijachomwa. Vijana wamechoka, tunataka kazi iendelee. Tukubali matokeo, tuendelee na kazi. Message yangu naweza pitishia kwa rais wa sahi, William Ruto. Sisi kama youth wa Kisumu mara mingi tumekuwa tukitoa ghasia na tumechoka na ghasia. Tumekubali kufanya kazi na yeye, akuje Kisumu tutembelee. Asichukue ile hasira ya election mpaka wa leo ni kama ni hasira aweke kwa roho yake. Sisi tumekubali kufanya naye kazi, tushakubali matokeo. Na tukubali pia sisi mayouth tunaandika kazi. Tuache tuhangaike hapa Kisumu kwa sisi hatukupiga kura. Tulipiga kura. Na tutafulie pia kazi kama si mayouth. Angalau hata vile ananiona kwa sahi nampasia hii message. Tufuatilie kazi bwana. Asituache kama inawezekana atume gari siku ya swearing in pia sisi tuende tunaangalia vile anakula kiapo na tumekaribisha matokeo vile yanafanyika. Naomba hayo chochote mahali pako rais mtarajiwa ama rais kwa sahi, tukumbuke kama Simba Youth. Asa mimi nakuomba bwana, hata kazi ya mkono nitafuatilia, nitashukuru sana.
Asante sana. We have another resident here who will actually also give us his views on today's ruling.
Definitely. Thank you so much. My name is Malaki Apudo. I'm a lecturer at Maseno University here. And I want to say that today the ruling and the verdict is out, and we respect it. Of course, some of us have sentiments, we may not agree, but now that is the way and it's the final one. We just want to now ask our new president-elect, that is Dr. William Ruto, that the country is one and he has to lead us all equally, whichever way we voted. Of course, we would love him to come and visit Kisumu town. There has been a lot of rumors that Kisumu is always chaotic. As you can see, it's all peaceful. These are peace-loving Kenyans. And all we want is now just to see how the bottom-up economy is going to revive this economy.
They've actually proved so many people wrong that we indeed are a very peaceful county.
Definitely. People thought that Kisumu will be wild, there'll be bonfire everywhere. That has been totally dismissed. We are peaceful. All the shops are working. I'm just from an Airtel shop. I've been served well. All the things I was doing in town as usual has gone on well. So these issues of saying Kisumu is a bad place, like the other day the ambassador for America was saying, we want to dismiss that seriously. We are doing well. All we ask is just the Kenyans to move on peacefully, and there is always another time to fight it.
You've intimated the fact that President-elect Dr. William Ruto is actually welcome to Kisumu, which is quite positive. However, moving forward, what are some of the areas that we need to focus on so that then we can actually foster that relationship? Because at times, the politics of this country has been that if you are not supporting this side, you're seen as opposition. How then do we move forward so to ensure that we move together as a unit?
Definitely want to ask our new president-elect that the idea of the winner takes it all must not prevail. We just want to ask him that all of us are Kenyans and he should also focus on developing all the regions equally. We want equity for all the economic resources in the country. Kisumu has so many industries which are closed, the Kikomis, the breweries. We want all those awaken up so that our youths can also work. Let us not have a situation whereby everything is taken to Rift Valley and elsewhere. We want to see our youth also on the forefront. And it comes to forming the new government. We want to see ministers from all regions of Kenya. We want to see how our former President Uhuru did it through a coalition. We must have some form of coalition because Kenya comprises of the 14 million plus voters. And you can see it was a close neck-to-neck competition. You can imagine the 6.9 million that I also feel they've lost it. We want to feel to be part of the economy.
Part of the economy.
Yes.
Just before I let you go, it would be unfair for me to allow you to go without asking you this question.
Yeah.
With the ruling of the Supreme Court, of course, the immediate repercussion is that Dr. William Ruto is the president-elect, right?
Yes.
His election is actually validated, right?
Yeah.
But when you look on the flip side, the political fortunes of Raila Amolo Odinga and, of course, the region, what does it mean?
Definitely, I would tell you that Raila Amolo Odinga still remains a hero in so many ways. For once, all these petitions that has been there since 2013, 2017, and now this one, Kenya is growing democratically. And I think without these petitions, we would be in a bad political situation. Now we have seen it. Even those who are going to vie in next, they will be knowing that taking anything to the court may not mean you're going to win it again. We know where the court has also not treated as well. We all saw it. Very glaring evidence was put up from the court, and some of them have been wished away. Things like Jose Camago, even a class 2 can see that this was forgery. It was done live on IBC portal. We want to say that we just accept the decision of the court, but we do not definitely agree with it. So this is a lesson to those of us who are going to go into politics, that it is never all solved at the court, but we learn to now do our work well even before we go to that court.
Probably the last question. Yeah. The last 3 presidential elections, there have been petitions in court.
Yeah.
We've not seen people being taken to task in terms of arrest or what have you. Is it time that probably the court would have actually been explicit in terms of trying to arrest these situations that actually continuously, each electioneering year, bring us to the same situation?
Yes, I would also say that there is a sentiment that most of us were expecting to see the chairman, Chebukati, taken to court straight away. But you can see after the court's verdict...
The commission is not just Chebukati. There are a number of people in there. So then of course, there's...
all this rot ought to have been punished, because when you tell us to take everything to the court and the court decides who the winner is, then other things are put under the carpet. That simply means we are moving on with some rot still going on. So this should have been cleared first. Then Kenyans would be happy, because definitely a lot has gone on wrong. We cannot say that the 4 commissioners, everything was just on the wrong side. So we would have expected the government to do something about this these mistakes that were done by some commissioners and all that. So we would have to see improvement by making arrests. Just the same way they are corrupt